And this is the problem.
And it's touched by the different people that come in. Well, that's the
to
problem.
do what they say they're going to do.
I understand that. So here's my point. You need term limits. No re-elections.
Well, I
care
have
what you
two
do.
phrases that I would like to have as bumper stickers.
What's
One
that?
says, if you're in, you're out.
Well, absolutely, absolutely. I
If you're
agree.
in, you're out.
If you got
And
a
the other
6-year
says,
term,
one and done.
yeah, if you got a 6-year, I don't care what the term is. If the president's only
One
term
and done.
is 8 years, then it's 8 years.
One and done.
I mean,
Out.
I don't even know what the years are, because I still don't understand the 2 years for a congressman and 6 years for a senator. I mean, when they did that.
Well,
in the
number one, they
I-
went back and they changed this into a democracy. They tried to get rid of the republic idea by making senators elected by popular vote, which is never the way it was intended to be. They removed the checks and balances that were put in place by our founders, who feared democracy because they knew it would be the destruction of our country.
That's why they initially made it a republic. This country is.
It is a
people don't-
republic.
And people don't realize that.
No, they don't. They've been taught by government schools that it's a democracy because that's what's good for government. Government schools are indoctrination and propaganda centers. They don't teach our kids anything. There's about 10% of the kids that go through those schools that actually learn something.
Where'd you go to
know,
school?
I went to Cherry Hill. I went to school all over the place. I was a
Public
Navy
school?
brat.
You went to public schools, though.
Yeah, I went to public
Where'd
schools,
you
and
pick-
I went to private
Yeah,
schools,
where'd you pick up most of your education?
on the street,
Well, so did I.
in books.
I mean, but the thing
Actually,
is-
the majority of my education came in the last 10 years when I had time to sit down and read 700-page books.
So where did your basis come from? You have to have a basis from someplace.
Well, I went to both. I went to public and
So
private
so it
schools.
did you some good coming up. I'm just trying
But
to
they
put things in perspective.
I still found that when I left public school and I started to get my own education, that I was lied to.
But
That
don't you
most of the
think-
education I was given was wrong.
But don't-
Now, they can teach you how to do math, There's not- because
They could
math
teach
is
you how to-
universal.
They could teach you how to write.
Math is universal. Reading and writing and math.
I think what you were really alluding to is history more than anything else.
You mean Abraham
A
Lincoln?
good portion
It's
of the history
See,
is
and you wanna know something?
incorrect.
And I have the same problem. I don't have a problem with the public school systems teaching reading, writing, arithmetic, but history I have a problem with because it's like the Bible. It's written from a long time ago, and it's written by a group of people, and most of the
They have
people who
an
wrote our
agenda.
history are dead. So we don't know. We have nothing to read.
And they have an agenda when they teach it.
And in a lot of cases, they have an agenda. I have
When
a teacher-
somebody says, Lincoln was the first guy to have black gentlemen come to the White House for a meeting, which he did. He took some of the prominent people of the
At that time.
black people at the time, and he brought them to the White House for a meeting, and the sentence stops there. The sentence they don't put in is that then he asked them to set a good example for the rest of the people and to leave and go to Liberia. They don't put that in there because it wouldn't put him in a good light. Okay? Well, show me the facts. Don't give me the BS. I studied Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, all of these people. I've read biographies, 700-800 pages on each one of the founders. And none of them are perfect.
No.
None of them. Jefferson, his
Well,
philosophy
no,
might have been perfect, but he wasn't.
Neither was Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah, none of them were. And you had the railroads come in. All this stuff has been recently discussed, but you had the railroads come in, and they were going across the United States, and there were private railroads out there buying from the Indians,
I think the bottom
buying
line-
land.
Yeah.
What did the government do? It came in and killed them all.
The bottom line of what you're trying to say is the fact that our government has always been corrupt.
The bottom line of
And
what I'm
also-
saying is, I own me, and you own you, and nobody else has a claim or a right to make a claim against me.
Now, we have...
If I don't volunteer for it,
but-
I shouldn't be
Let
involved.
me ask you this question. Do you believe in law?
I believe that,
Do you believe there should be a set of rules?
I like the Constitution the way it was written.
Well, but the
Now,
Constitution,
I think we could,
Constitution has nothing to do...
That
with our
is the law of the
No,
land.
but it has nothing to do with our everyday life when you drive
Sure
a
it does.
car.
That's the
when
law
you
of the
pay for
land.
taxes on land, on property.
No, I don't believe in preventative laws. I don't believe it's kind of like when they
Should
came
your
out.
property be taxed?
No,
Should you drive a car without a license?
yes,
Should you be able to shoot somebody on the street without any provocation?
no, that's violence. That's force.
Okay.
You should not be able to use force or
Should you-
violence against any
Should
other
you be able to
person.
walk into a store?
Wait a minute.
Now, wait a minute, let me finish.
Accept your
Should you be
defense.
able to walk into a store and with the guy on the other side of the room, put your hand on the register and take the money
No,
out?
that's stealing, which is a violence.
So you have-
It's against personal property.
So you have a set of ethics that are based on personal properties violence of one person to
And force,
another.
right.
But anything, okay, now let me tell you where I agree with you, okay? Ron, because you're a very forceful guy.
It sounds
You've
like
got-
the Northwest Ordinance.
You've got a good, your mind is very, very attuned to personal lifestyle. And I fully agree to the fact that I own a piece of property. Once I pay that mortgage off, I'm finished.
That
That
should-
property
that
should
should
be
be your
mine.
property.
I should not be taxed on that property anymore.
Now-
If you want to tax me while I'm paying the
Now, wait a
mortgage.
minute, if you go out on your property and you start pouring gasoline on your property, and it seeps into the soil and goes into the water supply,
That's endangerment.
which comes over to my property,
Then, that's endangerment.
now.
That's violation
Now
of the
you've
right.
violated my
Yes,
property
yes,
rights.
yes, yes.
So
And there should-
all of this pollution crap could really be solved with property rights if we respected property rights. But we
But
don't.
there should be rules then on property rights, which means there's certain things you can't do on your property, which is pollute the soil that will pollute your neighbor, okay? Cause him to get sick,
You
his
can
children
do,
to die.
because that
Okay?
goes
That's
beyond your
infringement on
property.
rights,
That
okay.
goes beyond your property.
So there is a certain, but I fully believe the way you do. I think it's illegal. I don't think that if, and I think while I'm paying the mortgage, yeah, I should pay taxes. But once that mortgage is finished, that property's mine, because I really resent the fact that I've seen people lose their properties fully paid for because they didn't know they owed back
And
taxes
Palm
on to the
Beach
government.
County's coming out now, they want
Ridiculous.
15% increase in the millage.
This is nuts. They're not doing anything for
Okay,
it.
wait a minute. I would like to say to them, go back to Scripps and get the 200 mil.
Not only that, how about
And
this?
and why
Don't you
do we
cut-
need a police force in this county that takes $500 million a year to run?
Well, let me go further.
$500 million. Now, that figure is what a lot of major corporations are worth.
Working on, I know, sure.
That's what they're worth.
Yeah.
And we're spending that every year to have these deputies tell us, you can't do this and you can't do that. Get out of here. I go to the airport, it looks like somebody invaded. I got guys out there in camouflage, they're out there with rifles. I mean, what is going on? I just went to the Fort Lauderdale airport, drop off my mom, nobody out there, everything was fine. I was like, this
There
is
must be,
great.
somebody's invading Palm Beach.
Yeah, this is great, no police state.
Well,
I
here's
go here, it's a police state.
Here's what I was saying.
What's with the camo?
Well, here's another thing that bothers me. I'll tell you this.
We got terrorists coming through the woods,
I don't think.
crawling
that-
up on the beaches.
Is this guy going to let me talk or what?
Go ahead.
My point is very simple. I think they have too many duplication of services, all right? I think that you're either cities all in the county or just county. I don't think the city should have a police department. I think if that's going to be spent $500 million, then let them patrol the city of Boynton Beach too, get rid of the police
Number
department.
one, I don't think we should have any police departments. If you want to have peace officers, that's a different story, because a peace officer is a person there to enforce the peace and to make sure that you don't commit violence against me and I don't commit violence against you. They are peace officers. What we have now are police officers. Police comes from the word what? Policy. So they are enforcing whatever policy the government puts in place, okay? And whether that policy is take you off the train and put you into an oven, or whether that policy is stop you from speeding, it doesn't matter. They will enforce that policy. It has nothing to do with keeping the peace. And we need to change people's perception about what the job of government is. If you think government's here to take care of you from cradle to grave, then you should be able to opt into that. But if you want to opt out, they should leave you alone.
Well, I think a lot of people have tried to do that. They've tried to get, like, Ted Kaczynski, he opted out, and he
a
opted
violent
out,
man,
and he
though.
opted out to try to bomb
Well,
everybody else.
here's the problem I got with the, Ted Kaczynskis of the world, or the guy who blew up the building, the Morrow building over there, or any of these guys. They used violence. They used terror. Okay?
Let's go
These
back.
are tactics that they now assign to guys like me. Just because I like Ron Paul, they'll call me a domestic terrorist now, and they've done so in print on official government documents.
You ought to be ashamed of
Okay?
yourself.
No, I'm ashamed of my country that it can confuse a tactic with a principle. That it can say I'm a terrorist when I use no terror. That it can say I'm violent when I use no violence. I promote no violence. I believe in no violence. And yet they're trying to ostracize me from society so that when they use violence against me, you won't object.
Let me ask you this question. You talk about not having police officers. It's almost anarchistic.
Yes, which is, to me, that's the utopian society that can never exist. Just like to a progressive, you know, the